but now you're gonna
Here's
have
the
to shove.
center.
Okay.
You can always cut it when you gooi.
I'm gonna have to cut this whole beginning away.
Stop it!
Sorry. What's happening, guys? Happy New Year to you all. We are in the Bosvark headquarters today, and a lot of you guys have been asking us to do a bait presentation with Garth's Dingle setup. So we out here, we're gonna get it done. Garth, are you gonna take us here?
Yeah, no problem. Let's go.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna leave you to it.
Yep. Alright, let's do this. Now that we got our cameraman away, I can start doing this. Righto. Today I'm gonna be showing you guys how we do our dingles. We've been successful on the False Bay coast. A lot of guys have been asking, WhatsApping, how do we do it? How do we do the bait presentation and stuff? So I'm gonna be starting by showing you and telling you more about our dingle. In the shops you can get ready-made ones, but most of them has steel inside, which plays a bit with the buoyancy. It's just easier for you to use, but it plays a bit with the buoyancy. With the dingles we make, there's less steel and metal inside it, which makes the bait a bit lighter, so it floats a bit more. So this is a dingle that I make, handmade, cut out of an old buoy. So we start by taking a bait needle, just pushing him through, right? And I use a Maxima 21 kilo 0.65 line, right? Just to start, let's push it through, pull it up. Here we go. Then what I normally do is we're gonna be using a tuna circle 7/0, or at least I've been using it for the entire cob season, and I've been very successful. How we start is we tie figure 8 on the shank of the hook, pull it tight, right? That all the tag ends we'll cut off later, right? Next we're gonna need a split ring. Alright, we cut a piece of here. I like to use enough tag in so that I've got enough to play with, right? And at the bottom of your split ring, we just make a normal blood knot. It should work for us. Let's go. We use the split ring and there, tight. Right. Cut the tag ends. So I like to have play on there. I'll show you why later when we're putting on the bait, because what happens is if your split ring is very close to the end, it's difficult to tie your bait without covering the ring, and a lot of the times when you cover the ring you have to cut it off. So that is my dingle. See a lot of play in there, and I'll show you why later. So now that we got our dingle sorted out, I'm going to be showing you how to make the hook trace. And what I use is a 18.1 kilo Rovex fluorocarbon 0.62 line, and you can get it at any tackle shop. So what we do is, and another thing is, I've seen guys do knots like blood knots and figure eights on the circle hooks. The best way to do a knot on your circle hook would be a snell knot. And the snell knot I do, you don't even have to push it through the eye. So what I do is I just take some off, then a loop. Right. So I go 7 loops right around. Okay. And what we have to do now is just pull it with it, pull it through. Right. With it tight. And this knot will never come loose off your line, right? You can pull, it's not even through the eye, and you can just pull, and that fish is not coming off if he's hooked. Right, and pull him tight. Arrow, snip him off. And here I like to leave a piece on. Don't cut it too short, just in case he slips, but I doubt it will. And always make sure when you snell, your line comes out the front. And when it comes out the front, it causes a circle. Hence, circle hook, it forms a circle, right? Depending on the water conditions, I will decide on how long to make my hook trace, how long to make my sinker trace. And we're going to be clipping our sinker on, so your sinker trace will be long. I'll show you later. What we're going to do, we take a power swivel, and over here you can just make a figure 8. Mouth trace, deeper water, longer line. That's ample. Arm length. Alright, we'll go figure 8. Put your bait needle. Snip it off. Alright, so now that we've got our hook trace sorted out, we're going to move to the sinker trace. And the sinker I use is a 7 ounce. It's a newer shape than what I'm used to. I've found that it just cast better. It's more streamlined, as you can see. I use the same line as what I use for my dingle, making the dingle. It's quite thick. A lot of guys use a thinner trace so that they can break off, but when going for cob, most of the time I'm fishing the surf. And what I do is I use the thicker line so that it doesn't tangle with the hook. When you use a thinner line, it tends to tangle in the water with your hook trace. And a lot of times you see your hook tangled with your sinker. And here's another tip. I use a thicker line for my sinker trace, just so that my line doesn't tangle. And not to say that it won't tangle when you're reeling in. The tip is, a lot of guys stand far away from the water when they're retrieving their bait in, and your sinker tends to roll up on the ground and it grabs your line and it gets tangled up. I use the thicker line for one purpose only. In the water, it can't tangle with your hook trace. And we'll just tie up a sinker trace. No more blood knot, no problem. Snap that off. So keep in mind, we're going to be clipping our sinker onto our dingle, right, like that. And what you want to do is you want to have your sinker trace a bit longer, not too much. Not that you have a whole mess up here when you're casting. and it's dangling. So about there. So the length of your line doesn't have to be to the book for your hook trace or your sinker trace. The thing is, make your traces according to the water conditions. And what we do is, we get that out there, about 100 mil longer than your hook trace. Then from there we tie a swivel. And because I'm using 2 swivels, I'm gonna be doing a running trace for you guys. Let's hope this works. Clip that in there. About there. Cool. Right. Now the blood knot. Always give it love. So that will be my sinker trace and my hook trace on my dingle. Right? As you can see, I'm gonna hold it up swivel to swivel so you can see the length away from the hook, the dingle to the sinker. As you can see, it's basically about 40 millimeters. So when you clip it on like that, there's not much line tangling or dangling around, right? I think it causes resistance. I don't know everything, but that's my way of making a running trace. And don't make the mistake by tying your main line to the sinker, right? So what you do is you take your main line. Okay, let's do a quick example. Let's call this our main line. Alright? So you slide your sinker onto your main line. Okay, so your sinker's on your main line. You tie your hook trace to your main line. Second, always tie your hook trace to the main line. Your sinker is sliding, right? So I've seen guys cast and their baits land up on the sand, and I'll show you why. So what they do is they put the hook trace on there. So now the hook trace is sliding and the sinker trace is tied, right? So now the hook trace is just coming back to the rod, right? We don't want that. We want our hook trace to be fixed and our sinker to slide. So let's do that, and what I do here is I do a figure 8 to my main line. Quick as that. Okay, so let's just call this our main line. Sinker will be sliding up and down, as you can see, right? Clip him on and cast away. So what's gonna happen, your sinker is gonna go and boom, it will hit the water and your hook trace is loose and it'll be floating ready for that big carp to take. What we're going to do next is we're going to put some bait on this dingle, and tomorrow morning we will be going out for a sunrise session. Sorry, not a sunrise session, we're going to do an all-nighter with our juniors. We're going to Simonstown, Long Beach, Simonstown Jetty. We're going to collect some bunkers. We're going to collect some Chokka if we get. Anyway, we're going to have some fun with the kids in light tackle. So let me do the bait presentation, how I apply my bait to my dingle. First of all, we need to get some bait. We got this I think 2 nights ago. We were on Cork Bay Harbour. My son beat me 5-0. I got none. But I'll get him next time.
That's normal.
That's normal. Right, so we don't throw that away. Throw this in your bin. Your packet next to your bucky. Always keep a packet there. Throw your dirt in the bin. I've been noticing a lot of guys just leave the ocean in a mess. There's been times where my son and myself and the rest of the crew, we just take a black bag and just clean up. And to tell you a quick story, we actually walked the entire broken road with 2 black bags and filled it. By the time we got back to my rod, there was a cob on the other end. So look after Mother Nature and Mother Nature will look after you. So let's clean this quickly. Yeah. So we've got a spine in here. Pull him out. He's out. So what we do, we just cut on that spine line. Sharp knife is important. You don't want to mess your bait up. And never throw away the guts. Keep it. Because one day, when you're going to pump some moonshine, this is your bait for the moonshine. Not to say you won't use the head for a cob or something, but this is good moonshine bait. So I'll show you that again. Just clean this out. I like to keep the slimy bits for afterwards. So how I start is I just do me some slithers. 1, 2. Let's do a third one for a bit of love. So what we do next? Check out Dingle. Measure him. Right there. I tend to like to cut it a little smaller than my dingle, because when we hammer it, it will expand. So that's what we're using. Put that there. So we've got our slither little rectangle piece of chokka. Don't throw this away. Remember, that's for your moonshine bait. Keep that for later. So I might catch a big cob with that as well. Don't throw it away. Don't take it home, either your wife is gonna kill you. So we need a mallet. So I turn mine skin side up, right? After cleaning, so I'm gonna give it a good bash. So it's paper thin. It's gonna release a lot of flavors in the water. And then yeah, so let's start by building our bait. So we've got our 3 slivers of tentacles, if you want to call it. Some cotton, some latex cotton. Right, there we go. That there. How we start is we're taking 1 tentacle facing up. So what we do is, as you can see, I start, just keep the tentacle on your float. And you see that play that I spoke about earlier on in the video, so that we don't build our bait over the ring. So 1 there, 1 there, and you notice that I did not hammer my tentacles. I want that to stay there as long as possible for vibrations in the water. If you're gonna hammer it, it's gonna be easier for the peckers to take. got step 1 ready of our bait. It actually looks nice. I believe if you put love in your bait, a fish is gonna come. Alright. And remember I told you we had a longer piece of line in there so that we don't close the hook up, the ring. Just do that. Boom. Okay. So that's step 1. Okay. That on its own can catch your $1 million fish. Alright, so let's put on the rest of our bait. And what we do is we just wrap him around like that. Skin side in, so that the flavors can now escape the softer parts. A lot of guys use some of the ink out of the ink sac, make this bait so black. It works with him. I just don't like doing it that way. I do mine clean chokka. Alright, so that it's like that. This bait can lie for about 4 hours on it. If there's no peckers in the water, it can lie for hours. And if you can get a little fish, or if you catch a sized alf or something, cut it up. Put a little piece on there, boom, and that's the next magic trick. So that's my bait. I know this is gonna work for me Saturday morning. Yeah, that's my bait. Right. See you guys on the coast.